So welcome to today's call. Today we are going to talk about an interesting topic. How many of you deal with projections towards you from others? Like people have an expectation and then they think negatively or positively about you and they project that towards you. How many of you deal with that? Nobody? Nobody deals with that? You don't have
I do,
you
Deepa. Yeah.
Cool, you have one person. One person has that, where people, somebody else is messaged in to say, yes, me. So two of you have people projecting some expectations towards you and judging you for who you be and judging you also for who you don't be. Okay, anybody else dealing with that? Okay, one more message. Yes. Cool. So how do we deal with this? People will keep projecting towards you. Just like we project towards people, we also have our expectations, right? Is there anyone here who doesn't have expectations at all of people? We all have expectations of people around us, and we also project towards them that this is what they have to be, this is wrong, that is right. So we are taught from childhood. We see people around us always classifying everything into right, wrong, good, bad. And based on that, we are doing the same thing. This is right, that is wrong. This is good, that is bad. And what else is possible beyond that? So we are going to talk about this book called, I've forgotten the name of the book, Projections, Rejections, Separations, let me see, Projections, Expectations, Separations, Judgments, and Rejections. And this book is by Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness. So I really liked this book a lot because it's a topic close to everybody's heart. So I'm going to just do a screen share so that you see the title, the face of that book, how it looks. Okay, so this is how this book looks. Projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections. And how can we create beyond that? And so that is what this book is about. So I'm just going to, read a few sections of that book and we can talk about it. So anytime you wish to say something, you can message, but since I'm reading the book at the same time, I may not see your message at the time that you type in. So I'm just going to chapter 1, which is about projections and expectations. And these separate you from awareness. So what does that mean? Whenever you are doing projection and expectation of any kind, you are separating, judging, and rejecting anything that can give you awareness. You're eliminating your awareness. That's not a great contribution. So let's say you're interviewing somebody and you go with the point of view that everybody would be knowing this. This is basic. They will know this. This must be there. That must be there. Then we are not willing to be aware. We will not be able to hear what the other person is saying sometimes. Sometimes there are a lot of things which are unsaid in an interview or in any conversation for that matter. So when a person says, okay, I don't know this, I know that. So when they say, I know this, they also mean, I don't know some other things, okay? So you'll have to read between the lines sometimes and also be willing to get the energy of what the person is saying and what the person is not saying also. And this is so in all business conversations, and this is so in all your daily conversations with people. Even you, what you say to yourself, you may be judging you a lot and projecting something towards you. So you are also projecting something towards you, when you judge you and say, hey, you should be that, you should have done this, but you didn't make as much profit this year as that year, or this month as much as some other month, and you let this so-and-so contract fall through. So you're judging you also nonstop. So it's not just that other people judge you. A lot of you judge yourself too. So let's see what else is possible beyond this. So what are projections, expectations, and all these other words? Projections and expectations are what you think someone else will do, even if they're not going to do it. So we project it towards them. A projection would be, for example, in a relationship, a girl might say, this man is perfect for me. An expectation would be that he will have the same point of view about life, about everything. And he will also think, I'm a perfect person. So the minute you have decided somebody is perfect for you, there is an expectation. The other person will also think that you're perfect for them. And so that is a projection. Then comes expectation. Expectation is, along with it is, I project this is what I expect, this is what I would think he or she would like me the way I like them. Judgment is any fixed point of view that we take. So if we have decided something has to be in a particular way, somebody has to behave in a particular manner, we have a projection. Along with it is a judgment that this is what they have to be or do. Separation occurs once you do a judgment of any kind. You separate yourself from the person or whoever you are judging. Even if it is you, you separate actually you from you. So you separate yourself from the other person if they are judging you and if you are judging them. And you also separate you from you when you have judgments of you. Rejection is dismissing or refusing something where we are not even willing to hear it. How come you didn't come for my party the other day? Okay, I didn't hear you. I'm just, okay, I'll see you later. Or just moving away and just dismissing the whole thing, not even responding to that. That is one type of rejection. There is another type of rejection where some people don't call you, even though you may call them, or whatever that is. So that is also a different level of rejection, okay? If the other person doesn't have the same point of view you do, they have to separate, judge, and reject you. Or you have to separate, judge, and reject you because the other person is separating, judging, and rejecting you. Awareness is the place where no point of view is necessary. So what is awareness as compared to all this? Awareness is where we are not doing right, wrong, good, bad, where we are not aligning and agreeing with somebody. We are not saying this is the way it has to be, and this is wrong, and that is right, this is good, this is bad. So whenever you're doing projection and expectation of any type, you're separating, judging, and rejecting anything that can also provide you awareness. You're eliminating your awareness. So Gary says awareness is the place where no point of view is necessary. You don't have to take a stand that this is my point of view, this is the way it has to be. If you're willing to take zero point of view on it, then anything is possible. When you are aware, you have the ability to see and to perceive, to know, and to receive the totality of something. That means you receive the whole thing as it is without saying, ye kachra hai, that is okay, ye theek nahi hai, ye theek hai. So it's like you're not getting into classification of what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. You just receive the whole thing and say, okay, this is what is taking place right now. Now what else is possible? Where you don't have a conclusion. And when you don't have a conclusion, so much more is possible. The next time you have a conversation with somebody, just see, where is this situation currently? Where would I like to take it? So when you have where would I like to take it, you already have a direction in which you want to take it without realizing whether it's going to work for other people or not. Now, if you had no expectation, no projection of what it should be or should not be, you might be able to get the whole energy of what it is. And then you choose dynamically, like, hey, this is what maybe I would like to do. Okay. So you may get that, hey, maybe I should ask this question. And you had not planned this question earlier. It's just coming up for you then and there. And then based on that, you ask that question. That actually creates greater, because you are trusting now your awareness. And this awareness is a muscle to be built. We have not been taught to be aware. We have been taught how not to be aware. As you start building this muscle of awareness, you will be surprised. You will be surprised that some of the things you're getting energetically. And when you're going with your awareness, then you can create greater without deciding upfront, ki, this is what I should say to them. What else is possible? What else is possible is an awesome tool, by the way, where when you ask what else is possible, it can open up new possibilities. You don't have to always know. You can also ask, what can I say here that will create greater for them and for me? So these are all amazing tools that you can keep using all the time. What else is possible? Let me go to the book again. So Gary says, awareness is the place where no point of view is necessary, where you are aware, you have the ability to see and to perceive, to know and to receive the totality of something in a way in which you don't have to come to a conclusion. Awareness cannot be right or wrong. Awareness is just awareness. Awareness never comes from believing what people say. So if you are also watching what they do will be something, what they be will be something else. Okay, what they say will be something else. They'll say, I'm always here to support you, but they're not accessible. Watch what they do and you will gain awareness. Watch what they say and you'll be distracted. Okay, you'll be distracted from what is going on if you just watch what they're saying. This is where you eliminate your capacity for infinite choice and infinite possibility. So Gary says he's always surprised when people do what they say they will do, because he doesn't have an expectation of people. He says when they actually do what they have said they will do, he's surprised. He says that's a bonus. How many of you here are familiar with the clearing statement? Okay. Can any one of you just type on the chat window, the clearing statement? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine, shots, boys, forwards, and beyonds. So this is wherever we have classified things as right and wrong and good and bad. Okay, so there's a small correction to what Soumya has written. Can somebody just type the additional word? Since about a year or 2 years, we had a change. Forward has been added to the clearing statement. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine, shots, boys, forwards, and beyonds. And what does this mean? Whatever we have made right or wrong or good or bad about something is what keeps us stuck, is what cancels out our awareness. Yes, correct. This is right. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all nine, shots, boys, forwards, and beyonds. Okay, so thank you so much. So right and wrong, good and bad are the ways we classify life. We classify situations, we classify meetings. If you get a contract, you will say it was a good meeting. If you don't get a contract, you will say, no, it didn't go well. Why should we judge it and classify it as a bad meeting? Maybe today you didn't get the contract, but if you build a relationship with them, maybe in the future you can get something greater. They'll say, wow, the person we gave the contract to, the order to, it didn't go off very well. And now we're looking at what else is possible, who else can take this on. And they could think of you if you continue to keep a relationship with them. But if you have given up in the very first or second meeting that, hey, this is not working out, then you're looking at a very short term. In this reality, there is a lot of point of view about competition. And we are always told, see, there is competition. It's a natural thing. And we see it right from school. We see it in companies. So when somebody goes to pitch for an order, if they don't get it and some other company gets it, they say, okay, that company got it. Now, going forward, you keep an eye on that company and see if they're pitching wherever you're pitching. And then you say, that is my competition. So once I was talking to a business entrepreneur, and in a particular money workshop, we were talking about different tools of access. And I said, what if there was no competition? So he said, what do you mean? Of course, there is competition. There is competition everywhere. It's a natural common thing. How can you say there is no competition? I said, okay, supposing for the time being, you just, look at it from a different point of view and say, hey, what if there is no competition? Then what else is possible? And we did a few clearings around that topic. Interestingly, about after a couple of weeks or something, their sales head calls up this company's sales head and says, you know what? We are thinking of targeting companies and projects in a different way. We are looking for projects which will give us more than a particular amount of revenue. So they were looking at 1 crore at that time. And they said, we are looking at projects that give more than 1 crore. So any project which is less than 1 crore, are you willing to take that up? And this company said, yes, of course, we are fine with that. We are okay to even take something for 50 lakhs, 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs. We are happy to take that. They said, okay, here is an Excel sheet with all my clients' numbers. And these are discussions we've already had in detail. And I have given you also contact numbers, name of person, name of company, what they do and what type of work they want done. And if you want, you can go approach them and take this on. So was it like cold calling? Not at all. They had literally like a whole lot of things just gifted to them on a tray, where they didn't have to pitch and go cold calling, have some salesperson go check with each one of those companies what is required. Exact requirements were there on that sheet. And then this business entrepreneur comes back and tells me, hey, you're right. You said if I didn't view them as competition, something else could show up. And interestingly, this is what came up. And their sales head called up my sales head, and we have this whole thing coming to us on a platter. How does it get better than this? That is so cool. And that is what is possible. When you say, how does it get better than that? You can allow something to get even better. And when this company gave up the point of view that it is competition, they changed their reality. And it was not an easy discussion in the beginning, okay? They were very clear that, hey, how do you say no competition? There will be competition. I said, I get it. Let's look at what else is possible. They said, every time we lose a contract, we come to the office and we do a fishbone analysis. They're all from the corporate background. We do fishbone analysis about why we lost this contract. I said, go ahead, do that. Don't stop all that. At the end of that, tell all your employees, what if there is no competition? Just that we didn't get this one contract. There are so many companies out there. Let's look at some other company. And, that itself is an emotional boost for them rather than make them feel down. How many of you saw the recent Wimbledon? Anyone? Where Djokovic lost, actually. And at the end of that, they asked him to speak. And it was a very emotional moment for him. He had just lost the match, and he says, he's lost the whole tournament, not just a match. And he said, you know what? Today, I'm not going to say it's going to be a happy day for me, but maybe tomorrow I'll feel better about this. And he gave such an amazing talk. It was totally from the heart. Any of you who has missed that speech, please go Google it up. You will get it. It's an amazing demonstration of how this person is willing to be so vulnerable and says, I'm happy this person got it. He did well. He played well. And he lost to a 20-year-old boy. And that was the first time that boy had won the Wimbledon. So the vulnerability of this person to say, hey, I played, this guy played, and he won the match. It was really from the heart. It was so amazing. And for that 20-year-old boy, Djokovic must have been like his role model in many ways. So it was so interesting to watch that discussion at the end of that tournament. So vulnerability is another space where you could be willing to just show you the way you are without having to pretend you're somebody else or something else. Okay, yes, something came up for me. I missed this. Okay, now what else is possible? Can I change this? None of us is perfect. When we are afraid of judgment, we try to hide. We try to protect ourselves. We try to move away. We are not willing to acknowledge this is what has taken place. When we are willing to be vulnerable, we are willing to see what is. And then that's a greater space to create from. What if you didn't have to judge you? Just for today, just for this week. For 1 week from today, don't judge you. Every time you judge you, just say, okay, pot pock, that thing that Deepa was talking about, if you hadn't heard it earlier. Just say pot pock. And it will start clearing. Okay, I'm willing to let this go now. And what else is possible? And what else is possible? When you're willing to look at what else is possible, you can have so many ideas coming to you over a period of time. Sometimes you may feel down and out because you had an expectation something had to be in a particular way, and it didn't show up that way. So you may have disappointment with that. You may be rejecting the situation, rejecting the person, and you may also have done the same with you. If you had an expectation and a disappointment with you, you would be busy rejecting you. Keep asking what else is possible. How does it get better than that? Just keep on non-stop asking those two questions in turn. That itself will shift and change the energies. And then there are so many more tools, more questions to ask. But this is just the beginning. And there is no such thing as these are basic questions. These are advanced questions. Yes, there are many advanced clearing, so to say, but nothing is basic in access. Each one of these is like a power bomb, which can actually change so many things. So how many projections and expectations are you using to create the separations, the judgments, and the rejections of you that you're choosing? Everything that is, are you willing to let that go? And if you say yes, then we use the clearing statement here to say right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So a lot of things keep changing in Access. That's how even this clearing statement has changed as of a year ago. So the word povads has been added. What is povads? It's a point of view that we are taking and using that to avoid some discussion. For example, we may be avoiding the topic of, say, money, avoiding the topic of relationship, avoiding the topic of paying rent on the house, avoiding the topic, so many such topics. That is where we're avoiding it and defending for or against it. We might be saying, no, money is not important, But every month, money may be important for this person because they've decided money is not important. They may say relationship is important or something else is important. But by just saying that, we are rejecting something and we are not willing to be aware. We've already taken a stand which makes us only see certain colors and we are not willing to see the whole picture. And when you give up that point of view, you can actually see the whole picture. And then you can strategically choose what else is possible after that. Energetically, you may just get, this is the way to go. Sometimes you're driving somewhere and you get that there is a lot of traffic and you know the route somewhat, or you just trust your awareness. I think I'll take this left over here. This may be a small road, but this will lead to the other road and I might bypass the traffic here. That is where you could be trusting your awareness. So look at different ways to start trusting your awareness and also look at different ways to acknowledge your awareness. When you don't acknowledge your awareness, it's like you dismissing you. And when you begin to acknowledge your awareness, you will be surprised. Oh, okay, I didn't choose this. I continued on the same road, but I did get an awareness that was probably a better way to do this. Or I just bought this, whatever. And then you were not sure why you're even buying what you're buying, but you just went with your awareness and got it. And the very next day, one of your friends had a birthday and you had something to gift her or him. Right? How often that happens. And then you think, oh, it's just coincidence. That's your way of dismissing your awareness. What if nothing is a coincidence, just choice? What if you were actually aware when you got that? If you don't acknowledge where you were aware, it's like not going to the gym, When people go to the gym, they build their muscles. And when they stop going, their muscles become like weaker. It's a bit like that. So when you start acknowledging where you have been aware, you have acknowledged some of the choices you made in life, you actually create greater. You may say, no, what is there? I didn't have a great life or something. That is your way of judging you. If you have a roof over your house, roof over your head, and if you have food to eat, you've done something that works. Now look at what else is possible from here. Sometimes we are only looking at what's not working in our life. What if you could start acknowledging so many things are working for you? So continuing, most of us have a lot of things projected at us at an early stage, and those projections and expectations can have adverse effects on our body and being. Before the age of 2, you do not perceive the difference between you and your parents or the people around you. And then you take on their thoughts, their emotions, their feelings, and their points of view as if that is you. So it's very easy for you to pick up and be like one of your parents because you didn't see the difference between you and your parents until the age of 2. You thought you were them, they were you. And then as you grow up, you start rebelling against them. This is what we choose in our journey. Because you made those projections and expectations of who you are, who you're not, who they are not. And that begins a different circle. So someone asked Gary, is it possible to do something to permanently destroy any connection to the other people's awareness, to other people's projections and expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections towards us? So Gary says, yes, there is a way to do that. And that is awareness. By you being aware. If you are willing to be aware, you will just know that you're picking up their point of view. You know that they are projecting something towards you, and you can choose whether you want to Live up to that expectation, to that projection, or choose whatever you'd like to choose. Sometimes we choose, okay, they have this expectation of me, I'm going to choose the opposite of that. And that is a very difficult, uncomfortable, and problematic thing when you do that. Because what is the opposite of this? Supposing they have a projection towards you that you are going to cook happily that day. Whatever, I'm just making this up. Okay. So now, because they have that projection, you want to do the opposite. So you're not going to cook that day, is one possibility. The other possibility is you will not cook happily. You will cook, but you won't be happy on that day. And the next possibility is you won't cook and you won't be happy. So the opposite of what they think, there is no definition for that. Who said the opposite of white is black? What if the opposite of white is pink? What if there is no such thing as opposite? It's just a definition. So when we think we have to be the opposite of what a parent is, supposing your parent is X and you don't want to be that way, and you say, my God, I don't want to be like my parent. Now you want to be the opposite of that. So what is that going to be? So if they're a happy person, you'll be a sad person. If they're happy sometimes, you'll be sad sometimes. What is that? So then opposite of somebody doesn't work actually. So this so-called rebelliousness that we choose sometimes in our life, based on what people are projecting towards us, they have this expectation, I'm not going to do that. So then you're fighting that expectation and you're trying to be the opposite of that. So everywhere you're choosing that, are you all willing to let go that now? Where are you choosing to be opposite of somebody? That. Everything that is, are you willing to let that go now? If you say yes, then I'm going to say right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pork, all 9, shorts, boys, forwards, and beyonds. And that begins to clear some of that energy. Are you all asleep, awake? What's going on? Everybody is so silent. Does anyone want to say anything?
So when we choose to go against someone or somebody or someone's point of view or whatever they're projecting on us, aren't we also having an when we are going against someone else's expectation, don't we also have an expectation of ourselves to be against their expectation?
Correct. And that's exactly the tricky part, where we don't know what to be the opposite of. When we decide I have to do the opposite of their projection, then we mess ourselves up. If we just have no point of view about their projection towards us and say, okay, this is their expectation of me. Just pot and pock the whole thing. Just look at it for what it is and see what would I like to choose today. And you may choose to cook happily. You may choose to order from outside. You may choose to be happy no matter what you choose. And that's the best part of choice. What if you could just choose to be happy? Doesn't matter the additional choices. In our journey of life, we forget to be happy. So what else is possible here? So Gary says, typically, there is an expectation at a particular age, people will get married, then they'll have kids. This is what they will do. This is what they will do next. And life will go on a certain way. And then you buy a house, you buy a car, you buy a whatever. And this is how your target should be in life. And if you have missed out any of these, then you're a failure. You have to judge you. Other people will judge you. What if you didn't have to judge you for anything? What if you didn't have to judge anybody else also? Other people may judge you. I get that. But what if you didn't have to copy them? And just for a moment, if you give up judgment first of somebody, then what else is possible? You actually become free. The world may judge you because that's what everybody has been taught. What if you can be the one who is going to motivate you as well as others to give up some amount of judgment? And when you step into awareness, you're just present to what is, that is the space where you can actually make a greater choice. If you say, oh, okay, this person I like a lot, this will be a great business together. That's where you're cutting off your awareness. Maybe that person will make a great friend. Right? Maybe they'll make a great friend. May not be a great business together. But many businesses are created based on the chemistry, based on just you and them talking, and then people invest money on into other people's businesses, other people's things. Ask, what will create greater here? If I invest in this business, would that create greater for me and for this person and for the world? Why do you include the world? Because after all, you would be selling your products or services somewhere in the world. And always include you. We have been taught to exclude us from everything. And when you start including you, including the other person who is now your business partner, and then include the world also, that's when you start looking at creating greater. What else is possible? Okay, so let me jump to another part of this book, which is called Money, Business, and Success. So Gary says, I wish I could say that you can create success by projection and expectation, but you can't. All you can do with projection and expectation is to create failure. How do we differentiate between projections and expectations and awareness? So this person is talking in a conversation with Gary. He says, I recently negotiated something, a business deal, and it didn't go through. Ironically, that means strangely, the same day that it fell through, some other deal also came through. So on the same day, they did not get both the deals. So he says, this person says, part of me was relieved that the first deal did not work out, although I was a bit disappointed. That was the deal that I was more excited about. And he was also projecting, because he was attached to the outcome. He wanted that, and he was projecting towards it that it'll be totally awesome and it'll open 1,000 doors. So I want that. And he was expecting it to go through. And that didn't go through, but the other deal came through. And if he had got both, actually, he says that they wouldn't have been able to fulfill both in the same duration. They wouldn't have done such a good job. So in a way, he was relieved he got only one. At the same time, he wished he got the other one. So Gary says, if you're not willing to see where you are projecting and expecting a point of view, where you're willing to have awareness of a point of view, then the two will come into conflict, where we are projecting something and we are also not willing to be aware of what is actually showing up. Awareness comes from the willingness to know what you truly desire. It doesn't come through projections and expectations. And it's not easy for many of us to articulate what we desire. So what exactly do I desire? And do you always get it? Along with what you desire, you may be projecting or expectation of something. I think I will get this project. When I get this project, then I'll pay that money. Then this money, then this will, this loan will reduce. That thing will happen. And then once I finish paying off, then I can get that, whatever over. So, we do a lot of permutations and calculations in advance. Our thoughts run very fast. And we try to assume that all this is what we are going to get because our thoughts are there. You're not willing to look at what exactly do I desire? And you got to be willing to do that. You got to be willing to be in the question, what is this going to create? So what are your actions going to create? What are your thoughts? Ask, what is this going to create? What is this going to create in a day? Keep choosing what could create greater. And more creation could occur. The moment you start projecting an expectation, projecting a disappointment, it doesn't work. Then you will get upset, anger, all those things coming through too. You will judge that situation, you will judge you will judge the other person. That doesn't create greater. So there was this person who was conducting a workshop, it seems, and he was talking to Gary, and he tells Gary, I'm so excited. I've got a class going on and 10 people are coming. And Gary said, great, congratulations. So he went to the class and only one person came. So he said, what did I do? So Gary asked, did you project and expect as a result of that class? He said, yeah, I knew I was going to pay all my bills. It was going to get me up to date on, all my loans and things like that. So I thought financially things will be fine and so on. So the projection, the expectation he had about those things came in the way of what could create greater. Never count your chickens unless you have the cash in your hand. That's how you create the place where, deals don't go through. If you have no expectations and projections about things, it's actually going to create greater. The willingness to be successful. This is going to be the last point we're going to discuss today from the book, but I'm open to discussions outside. If you are in the question, says Gary, you have no projections and expectations, then you ask, how is this going to work out? So he gives an example of his antique business in Australia. He asked, how the hell do I make this work? I looked around and he found a particular person called Chris. He says, Chris, would you consider the possibility of working for this antique shop? He says, I'm not sure. Why? Because I think you might like it and I could really use you. And he said, that guy says, okay. Did I expect him to be successful? No. But I was willing to know that he had the elements of what could create success in his own life. Someone who is willing to create success in their own life is willing to contribute to you and create success in your life too. I'm going to repeat that line. Someone who is willing to create success in their own life is willing to contribute to you and create success in your life too. So if you project and expect that they're going to be a contribution, then it may not work because you're expecting that it's going to be perfect. If you project and expect that they're going to be great, they also cannot be that. So the class participant who is listening to this conversation asks Gary, so when you see people who can create success in their own life, does that mean that they're going to do something? Gary says that just means they're willing to be successful. And Chris was willing to be successful. The only thing he needed was a format that would allow him to use all the parts and pieces of him that would make him uniquely different, uniquely him, with no projections or expectations of what he could do. So I was recently attending a forum where Chris was talking, the same Chris, in fact, strangely. And he was just talking about how, he asked a particular question which didn't work for him. By the way, asking questions which are expansive are a tool, okay? So he asked, so antique jewelry is what he deals with, and that is Gary's business that he's managing in Australia. So he asked, he was very excited about certain items, certain pieces of jewelry. And he says, wow, I love these pieces of jewelry. And he bought them and they never got sold. So what is his business? His business is to buy and sell. So he's bought something, but somehow it couldn't get sold at all. And he's wondering what the hell happened. And then he realized that he has actually bought what was fun for him. He did not ask what jewelry could be fun for people to buy. What would it take for that to show up? If he had asked that question, some different jewelry could have shown up. So having said that, he's an amazing guy in his work, actually. Just that everybody's learning different things in their own ways. And this was just something that came up for him that he shared with us. So all of us have different learnings. Each one of you has your learnings too. Okay. And you might have played with some tools which worked for you. Start acknowledging what are the tools that worked for you. You might have used it only once. Even then, acknowledge it. Hey, I created this, I used this tool and I got this money. I created this and like 4 friends showed up and we hadn't met for such a long time. We had amazing fun. Yeah, I used this question and this showed up for me. What else is possible? Okay. So who wants to go, and anybody who had any experiences of some tools they used? Yes, go ahead, Samya.
The process of energy pull is also an expectation, right?
Okay. Is that the question you want to ask?
Yeah.
Okay. So it depends. If you have an agenda when you do the energy pull, yes, it has an expectation. Then it may not show up the way you're looking at it. But if you have no point of view about it and you're doing the energy pull just for the ease and joy of doing the energy pull, then that actually creates greater.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Right? And some of you may recall when you're doing business or work or anything, when you have no points of view about what you're creating or not creating, and you're not attached to the outcome, something greater could show up. But the minute you decide, I know this is my work, I know my business, this is the way to go, you might find things are not working out the way you thought it would. Right? How many of you had that?
So how do you plan something then?
Okay. So planning. The ingredients to the planning, what if it did not have to be cast in stone? That this is the way it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do first. This is what I'm going to do next. What if you didn't have to plan out everything in high detail? Or even if you planned it out, allow for things to change and shift energies. And then when you're present to different things, you can actually create greater. Maybe something even better could show up. Earlier, when we used to go on tourism trip somewhere, some other country sometimes, I used to have a day-wise schedule of this is what I'm going to do day 1, day 2, day 3. But it was not hard and fast on this is the way it had to be. And if we did 80 to 90% of that, or even 70%, I would be happy. Some days we would have had planned that we would do this, but we would have gone to some coffee shop or something and we're just having a very good time and we're all just chilling and talking and enjoying ourselves. That also created greater. Why else are you on a holiday? Not just to see every, touristy place in that other city or country, but also for you to have fun. Right? So when you make a plan, that's why in certain companies, they say, okay, this is plan A and this is plan B. That doesn't mean you don't be committed to what you create. Sometimes people think, oh, this means then I shouldn't be committed to what I create. I can just lose plan, no proper targets. No, that's not what we're talking about. Keep a target because that gets you moving towards that. Articulate it even to yourself. But what if you didn't have to be hard and fast on this is what I want at the end of this? Because then you could allow something greater to show up. Does that answer your question? Couldn't hear you.
I only nodded my head. Yes.
Okay. So when we keep a plan in place which is hard and fast and cannot allow a change, when things don't come up to what we expected, then there would be extreme disappointment. A friend was supposed to come over from another city, and we knew each other for many years. And I was looking forward to spending time with her. The time she was coming, I was neck deep in schedule. I had back-to-back sessions. I had workshops going on. I didn't want to say don't come, because after God knows how many months of rescheduling, she finally chose to come. And I was like, okay, come over. Let's see, we'll enjoy. And she said, you know what? I'm going to get some stitching over and some other things so that if you're busy, I can still do that. I said, sure. And we have another friend who lives also close by, and she also spoke to that person. And that person said, you know what? I'm busy those few days. Why don't you first come here, spend some time with me? And that worked perfectly for me. So even though I was mildly disappointed that my friend is not going to definitely full-time stay with me, I was so happy for her, because now she would get time to spend with the other friend, and I could just pop in and they could come over whenever, they were free or I was free. So it was like best of all worlds. And so we had like good many days. After some 3-4 days of staying there, she came and stayed with me a few days, and we did a lot of shopping together. It was very different what we chose in the next few days. So did we have something hard and fast? No. Were we willing to have fun anyways? Yes. Okay. Now you may say, no, but that's all okay, but not everything is as chilled out as that. I agree with that. Okay. I agree with that. Not everything is as chilled out as that. We have definite outcomes targeted sometimes. I have to join this company that day. I have to deliver this that day. I have to deliver that. I have to do this, do this. We have a whole list of to-dos. Are we actually able to do 100% of that? No. But because you had that checklist of 100% of some things or the other, you at least got 70% done. But if you didn't have that target, maybe even that wouldn't have got done. Right? So what if you didn't have to judge you for the 30% that you didn't complete or didn't create? What if you could be grateful for the 70% that you created? Without judging that, oh, 30% didn't get met. No, just say, wow, I did this. I chose this got created. With no points of view. Anyone else? Thank you all for joining in. And we have this on Tuesdays, so you can join in same time, 1 hour ago. Same time means you'll be at the end of the call, So do join in, and in case you've registered, you can join in onto the email that comes to you from Zoom. Okay, so thank you all for joining in, and I will upload this to the YouTube and send you the link too. See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Thank you. Thank you, Deepa.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.